boy, I'm at a loss. I am drawing a blank right now and just I'm literally praying.
It was supposed to stand tall like a fortress, a glittering monument to love. Not the plural, fractured love that had once defined the Brown family, but a singular bond between Kody and Robyn that was meant to rise above the wreckage of polygamy. Their $1 million Flagstaff estate was intended to symbolize stability, power, and a fresh beginning. But as the winds swept across the Arizona hills, cracks began to show, not just in the stone walls of the home, but in the empire they had built on shifting sands. And then came the verdict. The courtroom was silent when the decision landed, but outside those walls, the world was already shouting. To Kody and Robyn, this wasn't justice. This was trial by public opinion. Fed by endless headlines, YouTube commentary, and social media storms. Yet the judgment was undeniable. In the civil case of Aberdeen Holdings versus Alves Brown, Kody and Robyn were found liable for misrepresentation and breach of fiduciary duty. The price of that verdict? A staggering, family-shattering sum. For many, this was the final chapter, karma delivered in legal ink. But for Kody and Robyn, it was just the beginning of a new war. They weren't going to sink quietly. They would appeal even if the foundation of their argument was fragile and their finances already in ruins. This is the story of that desperate appeal, a tale of crushing debt, hidden assets, and a family staring bankruptcy in the face. What you're about to uncover comes directly from financial filings, court records, and exclusive insider leaks that TLC cameras never showed you. Welcome back to Sister Wives Crew. If you're ready to go beyond the glossy edits of reality TV and see the Browns in their darkest hour, then you're in the right place. Let's pull back the curtain. Robyn once insisted, "This business is from our hearts, something we wanted to share with the world." But the investors who funded My Sister Wife's Closet, the family's doomed jewelry and lifestyle brand, tell a different story. Those investors, led by Aberdeen Holdings, were the ones who brought the lawsuit. They alleged that the Browns had painted a fantasy of success, dazzling presentations, glowing financial projections, and promises of expansion. But according to the evidence, those promises were nothing more than smoke and mirrors. Emails, text messages, and bank statements revealed a damning pattern. The millions poured into the brand weren't used for stock marketing or scaling a business. Instead, prosecutors argued the Browns used investor money as their personal piggy bank. Vacations in Mexico, luxury cars, designer wardrobes, even the down payments on their sprawling Flagstaff homes, including Robyn's palatial mansion, all allegedly categorized under vague terms like product research or promotional expenses. The jury saw through it. Their verdict was swift and unanimous. Kody and Robyn were ordered to repay $2.5 million in investments, plus an additional $3 million in punitive damages and legal fees, a total of $5.5 million. For a family whose TLC paychecks were already shrinking as ratings declined, it was a death sentence. Kody's oft-repeated on-screen pleas about drowning financially no longer looked like melodrama. They looked like prophecy. With their backs against the wall, the Browns had two options: declare bankruptcy and lose everything, or fight. They chose to fight. Their high-profile attorney, Donovan Finch, stood before cameras and declared, "We will file an appeal immediately." The grounds are twofold and crystal clear. First, that a fair trial was impossible in this jurisdiction due to media bias. And second, that key evidence admitted in court was inadmissible under the law. It was a bold move, one that legal experts dismissed as little more than a Hail Mary. Let's break down the two pillars of their appeal. First, the claim of bias. Finch's team argued that the Browns could never receive a fair trial because of the media circus surrounding them. From headlines painting Kody as a manipulative patriarch to TikTok roasts and YouTube breakdowns. They insisted that the public already despised Kody and Robyn long before the trial began. Finch submitted a 300-page dossier of online commentary and analytics as proof that the jury pool was poisoned. In their view, jurors didn't see them as business owners. They saw them as reality TV villains. But the odds here are slim. Courts rarely overturn verdicts based on media influence. because doing so essentially means admitting the judge failed during jury selection. As one analyst put it, this argument is dead on arrival. The second argument, however, is far more radical. Finch is attempting to carve out a brand new legal shield, what experts have dubbed the reality TV defense. He claims that because Kody and Robyn are entertainers under contract with TLC, anything they say on camera should be treated as performance, not fact. In other words, when Kody moans, "We're drowning in debt on the show," it isn't a real admission of financial collapse. It's a scripted storyline. If this argument held, it would send shockwaves through the entire reality TV industry. Imagine if every reality star could claim immunity in court because their statements were part of a performance. The plaintiffs, however, called the theory absurd, pointing out that Sister Wives has always been marketed as a documentary series. For years, the Browns happily cashed checks built on the public's belief that what they were watching was real. To now claim it was all fiction, critics argue, is the most cynical twist of all. While lawyers spar over technicalities, the real battle is being fought in the Browns' bank accounts, and it's brutal. To retain Finch's services for the appeal, Kody and Robyn had to place a $1.2 million lien against their Flagstaff mansion. That means the law firm now has legal claim over the house's value, freezing their biggest asset. Insiders allege that the lien doesn't just cover the appeal, but also the mountain of unpaid legal bills from the original trial. Which begs the question, why, after years of earning hundreds of thousands from TLC, can't they pay their lawyers outright? The answer is chillingly simple. The money is gone. For years, the Browns' finances have been a web of LLCs, blurred lines between personal and business accounts, and lavish spending that outpaced even their peak TLC income. At best, analysts estimate the family once pulled in around $800,000 a season. But split between 4 wives, 18 children, multiple mortgages, land taxes, and the extravagant Flagstaff move, that money disappeared almost as fast as it came in. When Christine and Janelle walked away, they didn't just take their love with them. They took their share of the TLC pay with them too. Meri's eventual departure only widened the hole. The once plural family that made the show profitable shrank to a duo, Kody and Robyn clinging desperately to the brand case, even as the financial tide swallowed them whole. In the end, what remains is a house of cards, an appeal rooted in shaky legal ground, a family stretched beyond its means, and a legacy that may collapse under the weight of its own contradictions. Because sometimes, the real drama isn't on TLC's cameras. It's in the courtroom. It's in the courtroom. Kody and Robyn Brown are staring down nothing less than a financial apocalypse. Overnight, their income was slashed by nearly half, yet their towering expenses, the mansion, the land, the luxury vehicles remained frozen in place like anchors pulling them under. The lien placed against their Flagstaff home is not simply a red flag. It is a blazing neon sign flashing one truth. The Browns are teetering on the very edge of bankruptcy. They are not merely broke. They are millions of dollars in the red. Their appeal, then, is not just a legal strategy. It is a lifeline, a desperate gamble to delay the inevitable financial collapse already unfolding behind the closed curtains of their fortress-like home. But what is really happening inside those walls? To answer that, we turn to our network of sources, individuals who worked alongside the Browns, neighbors who observed unusual patterns, and people who have seen the fallout with their own eyes. Their identities are being protected to shield them from professional backlash. What they describe paints a chilling portrait of a household consumed by paranoia and panic. One former production assistant who worked on Sister Wives during the time of the verdict recalls an atmosphere so tense it was suffocating. It was a nightmare, the source said. Kody was like a ghost. He refused to film, and when he did, he raged. He blamed everyone, the network, for editing him into a villain, Christine and Janelle for walking out and weakening the family, the investors for being predators. He never once, not for a second, took responsibility. It was always someone else's fault. But the most volatile eruptions weren't caught on TLC's cameras. According to the source, the fiercest battles were between Kody and Robyn behind closed doors. Robyn, usually portrayed as fragile and tearful on screen, was said to be unraveling in far darker ways. This wasn't the weepy Robyn you see on TV. This was rage, terror, and sobbing all at once. We'd hear them screaming at each other through the walls. She yelled that he had promised her security, that she was losing the home he swore she'd never lose. He fired back that her constant demands and that perfect house had sunk them. One night, a sound guy's boom mic even picked up Robyn's sobbing. "They're going to take my house, Kody. You've promised." If true, these accounts shatter the carefully constructed image of a united couple. Instead, they suggest a marriage straining under unbearable pressure, the fortress crumbling from within. And it wasn't just insiders who noticed something was wrong. Neighbors began to witness strange activity around the Brown estate, especially in the dead of night. "They used to be so quiet," said one neighbor, "but now there are cars pulling in at all hours. Not family, not friends. Black sedans, high-end SUVs, men in suits coming in for an hour, then gone. No TLC cameras anywhere. This wasn't filming." Even more unsettling was the appearance of an unmarked panel van one night, backed discreetly into the garage. The neighbor recalls boxes being loaded inside. Not furniture, but smaller, lighter items, the kind of size you'd expect for valuables. Individually, these details might be dismissed as coincidence. But when combined with the mounting financial evidence, they form a chilling theory. We believe those midnight visitors were not friends or lawyers, but asset appraisers and the boxes. They likely contained portable, high-value items, jewelry, designer bags, art, collectibles, everything that could be moved before creditors could seize them. In other words, while their lawyer wages war in the appeals court, Kody and Robyn may already be engaged in a private, frantic campaign to liquidate or shield assets from the financial guillotine poised above them. The lien on the home was the public sacrifice. But inside that house lay treasures that may have quietly disappeared into the night. This is only the beginning. In part 2 of our investigation, we follow the money trail further. We dig into the shell companies, hidden accounts, and questionable transactions that stretch back nearly a decade. We speak to sources close to the other Brown wives who reveal their private views on this escalating disaster. And we uncover the one last move that Kody and Robyn believe could save them. A gamble so extreme it could change everything. But first, let's turn to the appeal itself, and the audacious argument that has stunned legal observers. Legal analyst Eliza Vance has now reviewed the full appeal brief from Donovan Finch's office. And what she found was not just bold, it was radical. Finch has gone beyond claiming that Kody and Robyn's on-camera statements were performances. He is attempting to formally classify them, and by extension all reality TV stars, as fictionalized persona performers. This is a brand new legal term of his own invention. His filing cites precedents from satirical news programs, sketch comedy, and even professional wrestling. In one astonishing footnote, Finch compares Kody Brown's rants about money to Hulk Hogan's 1980s wrestling promos. His argument? Viewers inherently understand there is kayfabe, a blend of truth and fiction in reality television. Just as wrestling fans understand scripted bravado, if Hulk Hogan can't be sued for promising to destroy an opponent in the ring, Finch argues, then Kody Brown can't be sued for declaring bankruptcy on sister wives. The plaintiff's response was blistering. Their experts argued that Sister Wives was always marketed as a documentary, its value rooted in authenticity. To now argue it was all performance, they said, is nothing less than an admission that the Browns sold the public a fraud for over a decade. They unearthed dozens of interviews where Kody and Robyn themselves proclaimed the show's reality. Kody once told an interviewer, "We wanted to show the world the reality of our lives, the good, the bad, and everything in between." Robyn once insisted, "What you see is what you get. It's real, it's raw, we don't hide anything." Now, those very statements could be the dagger that kills their own defense. You can't profit for years off the claim of reality. Eliza Vance explained, and then when reality bites back, suddenly claim it was all fiction. A judge will not allow it. If anything, this appeal could set a precedent that forever erases the blurry line between TV reality and legal reality. And while lawyers spar in the courtroom, a forensic team turned to the money trail. And what we uncovered may be even more explosive. The lien on the house, as financial analyst Marcus Thorne explains, was just the smoke. To find the fire, you have to rewind to 2015 to the creation of Dobsark Entertainment. On paper, Dobsark was a production company, a vessel for TLC paychecks. But in reality, it became a shell used to funnel money in ways that appear at best reckless and at worst deliberately deceptive. The name itself is telling. Dayton, Aurora, Brina, Solomon, Ariella, Robyn, and Kody. Notably absent, Christine, Janelle, Meri, and their 13 children. From the beginning, Dobsark was engineered to centralize power, funneling the entire family income around Robyn and her children. Here's how it worked. TLC checks were deposited into Dobsark. From there, Kody and Robyn, the only legal signatories, distributed salaries to Meri, Janelle, and Christine. But when the time came to fund the Flagstaff property purchases, the money didn't flow from the wives' personal accounts. It came as loans from Dobsark itself. This detail is crucial. A loan must be repaid, which meant that while the other wives were contributing their labor and TLC earnings, they were legally indebted to the corporation controlled by Kody and Robyn. According to sources, when Christine sold her house, a large portion of her profit was siphoned back to repay Dobsark money she herself had helped earn. It was a ruthless but brilliant maneuver, one that gave Kody and Robyn immense leverage over the family. But the most damning paper trail lies in the transfers between My Sister Wife's Closet and Dobsark. Within weeks of Aberdeen Holdings wiring $2.5 million into MSWC, prosecutors showed bank records of massive withdrawals labeled as management fees or intercompany loans. We're talking about single transfers of $250,000, once absorbed into Dobsark. Those funds were commingled with TLC income, and then spent on personal luxuries, including prosecutors allege a $75,000 down payment on the land beneath Robyn's mansion. This was the shell game that convinced the jury to deliver such a crushing verdict. And yet, our investigation has found another shadow layer, one that was never the focus of the trial. Debt, mountains of it, lines of credit, premium cards maxed out to maintain liquidity, a pattern of borrowing to plug the gaps in an income stream that was already collapsing. And that, Janum, is where our investigation leads next. What if I told you that Kody and Robyn Brown's greatest fight isn't just against a lawsuit, but against time itself? That behind the headlines of judgments, appeals, and liens lies a far darker truth of financial hurricane that threatens to sweep away everything they've built. Based on a careful review of their known assets against their relentless spending, experts believe Kody and Robyn are drowning in a staggering mountain of high-interest credit card debt, potentially $500,000 spread across multiple accounts. The whispers say they've been caught in what's known as a credit card kaitusing, one card to pay off another, shifting balances like a gambler moving chips across the table, never truly clearing the debt. And here's the chilling part. The infamous MSWC investment money. The very funds meant to build a jewelry empire wasn't just used for houses and holidays. No, insiders suggest it was also funneled to service this enormous pre-existing personal debt, which means the lawsuit was never only about business fraud. It may have been about survival. This brings us to the urgency of their appeal, because the $5.5 million judgment isn't just one devastating blowout's a trigger. Judgments of that size set off alarms across the financial world. Credit card companies can call in debts instantly. Credit limits can be slashed to zero overnight. In a single day, Kody and Robyn's entire house of cards could collapse. Their homes, their land, their cars, everything could be seized not just by the plaintiffs, but by a half dozen other creditors waiting in the wings. At the eye of this storm stand Kody and Robyn, but circling around them, pulled back into the vortex, are the three women who once stood beside them as sister, wives, Christine, Janelle, Meri. And though they've each chosen their own path, this lawsuit drags their names and their pasts right back into the chaos. So, what do they really think? And could they be involved? We spoke to a source with deep ties to the Brown family, someone who has known them for over 15 years and remains in touch with several family members, including some of the adult children. Their revelations paint a portrait of three very different reactions shaped by pain, by pragmatism, and by a strange, lingering loyalty. Christine's stance was crystal clear. She wants nothing to do with it. In her eyes, this mess is the ugly, inevitable consequence of the toxic financial system she fled. For her, it's confirmation that leaving Kody wasn't just about love or respect, was about survival. She feels sadness for the younger children caught in the middle. But as for Kody and Robyn, no sympathy. They built this bed. Now they must lie in it. Our source revealed something striking. Christine's decision to sell her Flagstaff home wasn't just about starting fresh. It was a calculated move to firewall her finances to cut off every joint tie to Kody and Robyn before the storm hit. She saw the writing on the wall long before the verdict. She knew MSWC was a money pit. She knew family funds were being siphoned to keep it alive. Her number one priority was escape, and she achieved it. Janelle's response, however, was more complicated. The pragmatist of the family, Janelle doesn't waste energy on emotion. She was subpoenaed during the discovery phase of the trial and complied carefully, answering every question truthfully, but never offering more than required. She knows where the financial bodies are buried, but she won't hand anyone the shovel. Her loyalty lies with her children, especially Savannah. Her focus now is building her own future, her own security, and making sure her children are insulated from the chaos. And then came the bombshell. Our source alleged that just a month before the verdict, Aberdeen Holdings quietly reached out to both Christine and Janelle's legal teams. The offer: full cooperation and testimony in exchange for a small cut of the punitive damages and full legal immunity from future claims. It was a golden ticket out, an opportunity to recoup some of the money they'd poured into Coyote Pass and other family ventures. Christine gave a swift, definitive no. She wanted a clean break, no strings attached. But Janelle, she thought about it. For a week, she genuinely considered it. The idea of clawing back even a fraction of her investment was tempting. In the end, she declined, unwilling to be seen as profiting from her family's destruction. But the fact she even paused tells us how deep the wounds really go. The plaintiffs nearly secured a star witness from inside the Brown family. And what about Meri? Her stance remains the most enigmatic. Legally and financially, she is severed from Kody and Robyn. Yet emotionally, she lingers. Our source says she feels betrayed by the MSWC disasterist, since she was once heavily involved in the venture. But she would never testify against them. There's a peculiar loyalty there, a loyalty to the wreckage of the family she once believed in. Meri, it seems, is watching the house burn from afar, but she will not pick up a match. What emerges is a haunting picture. Three women who escaped a sinking ship just in time. Now, watching from the safety of shore as the captain and his chosen queen go down with it. There is no rescue mission. Kody and Robyn are truly, utterly on their own. Which brings us to the final gambit. The appeal is almost certain to fail. And when it does, the $5.5 million judgment comes due immediately. Assets seized. Houses forced into sale. Bank accounts garnished. From a financial perspective, it's checkmate. No way out. The obvious move would be bankruptcy Chapter 7, a painful but logical end. It would destroy their credit but allow them to discharge the judgment and protect a few essentials. But Kody Brown is not a logical man. Bankruptcy, to him, is humiliation. Defeat, worse. A bankruptcy trustee would dig deep, pulling apart years of spending. clawing back assets, even questioning the other wives. It would be, as one analyst called it, a financial colonoscopy. And Kody's ego may never survive that. So if not bankruptcy, then what? Our investigation points to a far more audacious plan. A plan that borders on criminality but fits perfectly with Kody's psychology. A last-ditch attempt to seize back control. The theory is this: the appeal, the delays, the asset liquidations, they're all designed to buy one thing: time. Time to quietly move what remains, bob their fortune offshore, beyond the reach of U.S. courts. Here's how it would work. Step 1. Liquidate everything possible: jewelry, collectibles, personal items. Step 2. Discreetly open accounts in financial havens like Belize, Panama, or the Cook Islands. Step 3. Wire the cash offshore, where privacy laws make it nearly impossible for creditors to follow. Once the money is gone, they could declare bankruptcy in the U.S., leaving nothing for creditors but a mortgaged house and frozen land. Pennies on the dollar. Then, in theory, Kody and Robyn could vanish living modestly abroad on their hidden funds, thumbing their noses at the system they believe has wronged them. It is a dangerous gamble. If caught, it could lead to charges of fraudulent conveyance, even prison. But for Kody, the defiant outlaw in his own mind, it may feel like the only option left. And so we are left on this windswept hill in Flagstaff with a story that has no clean ending. An appeal destined to fail. A financial ruin so total that only bankruptcy or escape remains. A once mighty family empire reduced to whispers of lawsuits, liens, and secret accounts. The kingdom Kody Brown dreamed of has crumbled. 3 of his 4 queens are gone. His lands are forfeit. His treasury is empty. All that remains is one loyal wife, a fortress that feels more like a cage, and a mountain of debt that will shadow them for the rest of their lives. The question now isn't about the verdict or the appeal. It's about the human cost. Will this desperate fight save Kody and Robyn? Or will it consume them completely, leaving them with nothing but dust and echoes? Perhaps in the end, the king and queen of Coyote Pass will discover that the empire they fought so hard to protect was never real at all.